evening and welcome to the Thai PBS World. Reaching the agreement of RCEP by the end of this year is one of the main missions of Thailand as chair of ASEAN. But it's not the only hope from Thailand, but including 6 trading partners of ASEAN as well. A regional comprehensive economic partnership, RCEP, covers a total population of 3.5 billion and 32% of the global GDP. RCEP comprises 10 members of ASEAN plus China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, India, and New Zealand, 6 countries having free trade agreements with ASEAN. Minister of State for Trade and Export Growth and Minister of Agriculture of New Zealand, Damien O'Connor, was in Thailand last week for a meeting with ASEAN ministers. He hopes RCEP should be concluded by the end of this year, though the path is not quite smooth. But the end seems quite near, especially at this very juncture of the global economy in which the bitter trade deal between the US and China remained intact for more than a year.
RCEP's a very, very important negotiation at a time when the world is uncertain in terms of trade. WTO is not being, I guess, administered as we thought. We see some trade tensions between China and the US, and in Europe we've got uncertainty as well. So I guess there are ambitions with RCEP to join half the world's population in a trade agreement to put in place some fair rules is worth the effort that we're all putting in. And we hope that we'll get to a position by the end of this year, maybe by November, that we can conclude and maybe sign an agreement next year.
Do you have any specific agenda from New Zealand in terms of pushing forward the agenda on RCEP?
Well, look, we're a nation that depends on selling about 85% of everything we produce offshore. We have a small population, so we are producing food and fibre out into the world's markets. We've traditionally been going to Europe and to the US, but increasing amounts of our trade have been coming into ASEAN countries, into Thailand, our 9th biggest trading partner, ASEAN, our 4th biggest trading bloc, and then of course China. So we've been focusing into Asia for some time. We want to sell more of our products, but also services. We have good engineering firms, we have good educational facilities. We want to move into the markets and share some of that knowledge and learn more, of course, and take products from Asia down into our country.
What's the opportunity of Thai products or Thai market do you see from New Zealand perspective?
Look, they are huge. We only have 4.5 million people, so the opportunity for Thai exporters is maybe limited. There are things we can learn and take from your country down to ours. I just visited a factory here where some of our dairy product is put into products here, sold out around the world through a Thai company. And then we've got engineering companies that are working in your market here, assisting to build buildings, to develop, I guess, the Thai economy. And so those relationships are very, very strong, and we'd like to see them build even further.
Currently, does New Zealand have trade agreement with every single ASEAN country? How do you look at ASEAN? Do you view it as a group or individual country?
Look, it's both. We do have bilateral trade agreements with ASEAN members, but we also deal with ASEAN as a bloc. We understand that, I guess, the unity through that organisation helps to build rules, to build consistency. RCEP, of course, is using ASEAN as a base, but then bringing in China, bringing in, I guess, Australia, New Zealand and India, we hope. So ASEAN is a very good base for a regional cooperation, and we'd like to assist in any way we can to help, even though we're a small country, not directly in Asia, but certainly more and increasingly reliant on Asia as every year goes by.
What's your take on trade war between China and US? Does it mean that other regions or other grouping of the market become more attractive because of the stiff competition or stiff tension between China and US?
We see no positive things from that trade war. The uncertainty that it causes for all of us is not good. There may be some short-term opportunities, market opportunities for companies, but overall, the uncertainty that it creates for all of us, we all have strong relationships with China, we're trading in, we're taking investment from that country. The uncertainty is not good for business or for countries when the best way forward is to build long and enduring relationships, not short-term opportunistic ones.
Do you think RCEP can help change the world in which the world economy seems to be moving into protectionism? Can RCEP be like force for change?
RCEP can reverse the direction in which we've been heading, and as you say, it has been one towards protectionism. That's not good for any country. We rely on relationships, some of them trading relationships, some of them human relationships, capital moving in and out. That direction of protectionism is not good for us in the long term. So RCEP will be the opportunity to reverse that direction, to show that there's real value in coming together through cooperation and compromising ultimately to reach an agreement, and then accepting that the world's not perfect. We all have our own objectives of well-being for our own people, but that well-being will be enhanced by being able to trade products, to trade knowledge, trade services. That's what New Zealand's always believed, and we'll continue to advocate strongly for that.
Does that mean that the conclusion of RCEP by the end of this year will mean the alternative market to the US or China? But China is one of the main pillar countries in RCEP as well.
I think China sees greater stability and opportunity if RCEP is signed. Clearly they have a dependence on the US and US on them. They have to work through that difficult issue as quickly as possible, we hope. In the meantime, I think China see an agreement like RCEP as being beneficial for their future as well. They're calculating on ongoing growth. They need improved relationships. They need increased opportunities in market. And so if we can build an agreement around RCEP, including India in that, then there are opportunities for all of us.
What do you think is the particular area that New Zealand and Thailand can work much more closer, especially in farming sector?
Look, we understand that Thai farmers are perhaps concerned that if there's a trade agreement, then more product might come in from New Zealand. We are generally reasonably efficient, but our total production can only feed 40 million people. So we're a very small country, and our total dairy production is only 2% of the world's production. What we'd like to do, and indeed we have some projects now where New Zealand farmers and officials and companies are working with Thai farmers out in the regions in the northeast to assist them with technology to improve the levels of productivity, to ensure that the management of livestock, the collection of milk, the processing of milk can lead to higher value from the milk that Thai farmers produce. And so that's where we'd really like to build further relationships.
And that's all of Thai PBS World tonight. ทั้งหมดคือข่าวภาษาอังกฤษ Thai PBS World และที่นี่ Thai PBS สำหรับคืนนี้ค่ะ